to say that. When you go to Kemet school, you became more alert. You more wake up. Your spirit wake up, and you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. Classical studies, we must know Medew Netcher. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some heretic too. We need to know Medew Netcher. Achievement in Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.
All right. ETM Hotep. Welcome to the Sesh channel. Today is Saturday. The depends on how you count it. Just the first or the second day of Memorial Day weekend. So hope everyone has enjoyed or is enjoying their weekend so far. I'm sure everybody's bellies are definitely full. People getting out and about, cooking out all weekend long. So welcome, and shout out to Monica Lamb. I see Monica Lamb is the first one to comment in the chat. Peace to Monica Lamb. So yeah, it's your brother Wujao. I'm just going live as a Kemet Chill, just to hang out with you guys in the chat. See what's on your mind. See, hang out, help you digest that food. I'm sure, as we call it, the itis. I'm sure the itis is kicking in. People probably halfway dozing off right now. Or you already had your nap. After that big meal nap. I'm sure some of y'all probably just now snapping out of your itis nap. Don't call it a cat nap, it's an itis nap. People just, a little groggy right now. So just wanted to go live and hang out and see, if anybody has any Q&A or discussions. Got Six Finger in the chat, and Sister Monica Lamb, the hardest working sister in social media. You know what I'm saying? She's doing giving James Brown a run for his money, the hard working man in show business. Well, she's definitely the equivalent for in this space. Let me just actually post up the comments. So yeah, I'm just hanging out. I do want to reiterate an announcement I made earlier, which is this picture on the screen. Matter of fact, let me blow this up on the screen real quick. So if you haven't heard me announce this before, now's your opportunity. So we're starting a book club And, in our advocacy to promote reading and reading comprehension, research methods, and things like that, we started a book club, or we are starting a book club. And the book that you see on the left-hand side is going to be our first publication selection that we're going to walk through. And so the way that we see it going is 1 hour meetings once a week where, we read a part of the book beforehand, and then we come together as a collective for 1 hour, and we, read over anything and have some discussions. So that way everybody's kind of walking through the book with the same understanding. And it's always a benefit in doing that. We learn that from school. That's one of the methods of teaching, even in K through 12 school, where, the whole class will read together, take turns reading, and then everybody will make sure they give their understanding of what they read, et cetera, et cetera. So, this is always a good thing. And there's a lot of book clubs out there. So, we just want to start one in this space and in a more educational environment, minus the drama and all the noise. So Sabre University is hosting this book club, and it's free. So just go on over to sabreuniversity.com. Even on the homepage, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see where it says the book club, and you just enroll. It's free. You just need your username and password, create a password, and that's it. And we also have a group, because also on that website we have groups similar to Facebook groups. And so right now it's only 2 groups. They're existing, but we have a group, and there's going to be more. There's going to be more courses, lessons, quick crash courses, everything from free to some of them may be monetized. I think there's only 1 or 2 items there now that cost anything. And really the cost is just for the book. So anyway, just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that. And spread the word. Anybody who you think is interested in a book club. Now, obviously, our book club is going to be centered around ancient Egypt in some form or fashion. So we're not going to, read a book on how to change your brake pads on your car, or, to test your battery lights and things like that, or how to bake a pumpkin pie. We're not going to deal with that. So, just want to make sure in a way has false expectations. So all of our selections are going to be in some form or fashion related to ancient Egypt, some form of fashion. We can go in the periphery. But now this book that we're starting off with is a really good book. You can read the title, Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. It's really good. So anyway, just wanted to make sure that announcement. Make sure you spread it. I posted it on Facebook. So if you're a friend, if you're my friend on Facebook, just go to my page and you can share it. Share it out. All right. Now what I'm looking for right now is suggestions on day and time to meet. I've been experiencing this for a long time. It's very hard to satisfy everyone's request to meet at a certain time, because on the internet, we all live in different time zones. Even for my classes, I had to restructure the classes, because I have students that are in East Africa, in West Africa, in the UK, and United States, and trust me, it's very hard to try to coordinate a time for everybody. It's almost impossible. So I do need feedback. What's the best day? What's the best time? Even if people can't make it every single time, but we need to find that sweet spot. All right. So I wanted to make that announcement. But okay, so back to the chat. So shout out to sorry about that. Shout out to everyone who's in the chat. Let me see. Scroll up. Back up. So we got Monica, Six Finger, Emiket, and Venice. 902 times 91. What is that? What's 902 times 91? What is that? Let me see. I'm put my calculator out. Let's see. Can I do it in my head? Nope. I'm not even going to try it. 902. That's crazy, because back in the day, I would have done the opposite. I would have made sure I did this in my head. 82,082. Okay. I don't know what the significance of that is, but hey, don't know. No. Um, yeah. All right. So yeah, back to the chat. So I'm just hanging. So I know it's the beginning of Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is actually Monday, but on the weekend, everybody fire up the grill, visit family, friends, get out, get some sun, get some vitamin D, all that good stuff. So hopefully everyone was able to do that today. And so I'm just chilling and hanging out. And if you all have any questions or anything, I will post the link. So let me grab the link. Like I said, some of y'all may be just waking up from your comatose itis meal. Everybody ate that big meal, ate some barbecue or whatever. Even you vegans out there, you probably overindulged on your kale wraps and tofu steaks and things like that. So we were just hanging out. So go ahead. I'm just here hanging out. So we had Buxy from the UK, and I know it's late over there, man. It's probably in the middle of the night over there. You like 5 hours ahead of us, so that's 5:15. So that's like 3 in the morning over there. You either working a late shift or you're a night owl over there. So yeah, so again, I'm hanging out. So I'm taking my cues from you all. What's on your mind? What's been going on? Cause y'all don't want me to just talk because I'll get into my soapbox. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to bombard you all with my soapbox. We have enough of that going on. So yeah. So, right now, it's about pushing us forward. It's about growing. It's about pushing forward. None of us are getting any younger. The world still turns. There are many, many projects and groups and institutions and things that are rocking and rolling. And if you like taking a survey of the things that the collective we have going on, we're behind in many, many, many areas. We're behind. And, we all should know one of the main reasons why we're behind is because we were severely, severely handicapped during the transatlantic slave trade. And I know that when people bring that up, it sounds like it's an excuse to fail. It's like, we blame everything on the slave trade, on the transatlantic slave holocaust. We blame everything. So people do tend to use those things as excuses for failure. But we have to turn all of that around. We understand it. We learn from it. We can't deny the experience of those of us in our immediate ancestral line, what transpired and everything. But we're supposed to use it to leverage and empower us to move forward and not as an excuse for us to fail. So we really, really have to get ourselves together. And, and I've been very critical of the so-called conscious community for years. I've been unapologetically critical of it. I describe what I see, the behavior of the people and the overall expression of the community as a whole. And I've been very critical of it. I've been very consistent with it, to the point where I know I've been getting on people's nerves over the years. That I sound like a broken record with the bad character, the rap battle style debates, misnomer debates, but really fussing matches. All that stuff that people hear me or see me post on Facebook. So what I recently did, because there are people who are just being exposed to this channel, to me, and to a few others. And so when they hear conversations that are had, they're missing context. And so today on Facebook, what I did, I took screenshots of a variety of Facebook posts that I've done over the years where I've been critical of the so-called conscious community and the behaviors and things that I've seen over the years. So I think I've done about 60 posts, or I collected 60 posts, and there's more, but I just took some time out and took screenshots of around 50 to 60 posts that I've done along those lines, and I put it into a photo album so that if anybody is in any doubt about my stance on all these different things, there's one space you got to go to. You don't have to search for my posts. You just go to my photo album. It's called The Unconscious Community. I couldn't think of a different name at the time, so it's called The Unconscious Community, and I got screenshots of all of that. It's about 50 or 60 images where I'm talking about character. I'm talking about, what goes on, what transpires, everything that everybody sees, but may be either afraid to say or don't say for whatever reason. So anyway, that's what I've done earlier today before enjoying the weather. So anyway, back to y'all. So, I'm just trying to buy some time, see what's on you all's mind. We got Everything is Everything in the building. The Spider-Man. Call him Spider-Man. I'm surprised he don't have the spider emojis put up yet. So yeah. So it's on you all. I'm just hanging, I'm hanging with you all. I'm trying to help you all digest the food you ate, And what's interesting is when I logged on Facebook, I'm seeing some people posting pictures of themselves or eating, and I don't know if the brother Sean is listening, but I saw Sean posted a picture of Sean. Shout out to Sean. He posted a picture of himself, and I met Sean on a few occasions. I met him a while back for the first time, but then recently he came to Atlanta, and I saw him again and everything. But Sean, if you're listening, you like one cheeseburger away. He's one cheeseburger away of of blowing up. Sean has put on some weight. Sean has put on some weight. I don't know if he's listening, but yeah, I don't know, Sean. You have to dial it back a little bit. You enjoying yourself, boy. I'm gonna have to blame it on your wife. The food must be good. She's spoiling you. She's definitely spoiling you. So, but anyway, that's just a joke, but still. Yep, Sean definitely put on some weight. So I'm just hanging with y'all. Helping you all digest your food, get the itis. I've got American Dream in the house, Afro Ninja. So yeah, if y'all have any questions or anything you want to share or you want to bring up, want me to speak on, I'm just hanging out for a while. It's late now, and I'm a diehard Star Wars fan. So let me just say this. There's on Disney Plus. There's a new episode, a new series of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and if you're a Star Wars fan and you've been keeping up with the Mandalorian and the Boba Fett saga, whatever, those are good. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna like that anyway. But this one here, the Obi-Wan, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I'm saying definitely check this out. On Disney Plus. Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or Obi-Wan. I forgot the exact title, but still. Yes, indeed. So that gets the double thumbs up. All right. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm watching it. I watched it. And so, yeah, anyway, shout out to the Star Wars crew, Disney crew, whoever owns it, George Lucas and those guys. All right, so let's get to some of these things. Let me post up. So, Afro Ninja, I'm about to argue with people about a language I can't speak. Yeah, that's what people do. That's what people do. Let me move this chat and just. I like to keep y'all's chat up there. Let's see. I'm working my way down. Okay. Question. American Dream. Let's see. I think this is the first question. Question. Do you consider the work you do as Egyptology? Um, in the sense of what Egyptology means, I would say yes. Because Egyptology is the study of Egypt. Basically, that's like a real umbrella term. Um, I'm Yeah. So short answer is yes, but then again, I'm not one of those people that are actively publishing things to push Egyptology forward at the moment. I wouldn't overstep my bounds in self-describing what I do. But what I do more specifically is I provide the um, I provide the tools and the resources so that people can engage ancient Egypt by way of the language. So remember, my stance is this: you will never really be able to appreciate and to become intimately competent of a culture that is not your own culture, your mother culture, your native culture, natal culture, unless you learn the language of the culture that you're examining or studying. And when I say that, I don't mean people have to become experts in a foreign, the language of the culture, the said culture, or anything. But you have to be competent enough about the language in order to engage the culture. And it's a simple reason why. Language is the DNA of culture, because the language of the people, if we understand how language works and how communication is, um, in more detail, we'll understand that it records the psyche, the psychology of the people. If you want to know how the people thought, what was on their mind, their worldview, and things like that, you have to approach it through the language. And so my work and what I've mainly focused on is providing that, giving people opportunity to become more competent with the language to be able to engage the culture. So in that sense, yeah, it's all part of Egyptology, but I've never really described it as that. But since you asked me the question, it would fit. But yeah, so that's that. Language is very, very, very important. Without it, it's not to say that people can't study Egypt without knowing anything about the language, but people need to realize that if you do it that way, you're going to be handicapped, and nobody should want to be handicapped doing anything. You want to be equipped to be effective, efficient, and so that's what I advocate. That's what I try to provide. So I've been teaching the language for over 10 years, beginners level, advanced level. So I have a language course. Been doing it for like I said, over 10 years. It's also on Sabre University. You know, don't try to break anybody's pockets. I don't try to. This is not something that I see as people getting rich off of or anything like that. It's just a matter of being able to keep things moving and keep the resources going. So I do not try to dent anybody's pockets or anything like that. The course that I teach is only $100, the entire beginner's course, and you got to get the textbook. So at the most, it's $130. That's it. And elsewhere, you got to pay $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, or whatever the case is. Unless you're going to go to college and part of your curriculum, you're going to take some credits in learning the Egyptian language. And if you want to become a professional Egyptologist in that field, then obviously, you're going to do what you have to do there. But anyway, so hopefully that answers your question. American Dream. And so I'm scrolling through. I'm hanging out with you all, you know what I'm saying? So I'm hopefully you all, he said Sean ate some Brussels sprouts. That's funny. I had some Brussels sprouts today. Okay, so Buxy says, I know you've explained literal versus figurative as it relates to ancient Egyptian deities, but can you let us know why many of these deities are mistaken as being literal? Well, it's really due to people just not knowing. And figurative, I'm going to say this. when you compare figurative versus literal, which one do you see is easier to deal with, easier to cope with? And I know there's a delay, so I don't expect you to like straight answer me. But think about that. Literalism is the easy route. Just think everything is literal. Everything that everybody wrote and expressed is literal. That makes it easy because you don't have to really think hard and figure things out. But that's just not the reality. That's not the case. But so we tend to be lazy in our endeavors, and so we would like for everything to be literal. We would like for everything to be spelled out literal. Like, if I say, hey, cut it out. Stop doing that. Cut it out. We would like for me to literally mean cut something out. Like grab a piece of scissors, grab some scissors or a knife and cut something out. But that's not what we mean when we say cut it out. That's a figurative expression for stop. Like stop. Stop what you're doing. Cut it out. So human beings, we have invented a long time ago, we have invented figurative expressions. But figurative expressions are anchored in the mindset of any given group of people. And so when we're studying a foreign group of people, such as the ancient Egyptians, foreign as in people, distance, and time, because they're ancient, they're not even, ancient Egyptian culture is not even a living culture anymore. That's a lot of work to figure out. So we want to be lazy. We want to take it literal. So we literally think that there was a guy named Osiris and who had a brother named Satuk or Set, and they got into an argument. And he literally chopped him up. First he literally suffocated him in a coffin, threw him in the river. His wife found him or whatever, or some folks found him. And then he's like, nope, I don't want to take any chances y'all reviving this guy back. So he chopped him up into 14 pieces and just buried his pieces all over the place and this and that. I mean, people want to take that stuff literally. And it's because of the things I just said. It's hard work. And this goes for everything. The Bible, all the Abrahamic beliefs. People want to take that stuff literally. People actually think that a man named Yeshua or Jesus walked on water, fed the multitudes, turned water to wine and whatever else. I mean, people take this stuff literally. Of course there's people who don't, but there's a lot of people who do. Different stories in the Bible and whatnot. So that's just the way that we do things. But it's detrimental. It's really, really detrimental. It's a sign of immaturity. It is. It's a sign of intellectual immaturity where we can't go above that. And the reason why I say that is because when we're little, we take things literally. Like a lot of people at one point believed there was a Santa Claus, that a man came down in a chimney. Even if you live in an apartment building, you didn't even have a chimney, and you got little kids still believing in Santa Claus. He had some magical skeleton key that came in the front door because you don't have a chimney, or came through the balcony if you had a patio in an apartment building or whatnot. But you grow out of these things. You grow out of the nursery rhymes. You grow out of those stories, those storytelling things. You grow out of it. But for some reason, when it comes to quote unquote beliefs being called religions, we can't grow out of it. And so that's what I mean by it's a sign of immaturity, intellectual immaturity in general. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. That's really what that is. And we really have to do better. All right. Let's see, let's keep going. So American Dream says a study, not a scientific study. Well, if you're talking about Egyptology, it's the study of ancient Egypt and science. You got the humanities, because see, people tend to divide science into the hard science versus the non-hard, the not so hard sciences like physics, chemistry, and things like that. They would call those hard sciences, engineering and whatnot, those type of things. But when it comes to fields under anthropology and stuff like that, people will kind of switch up on you. So I just simply say the study of Egypt, because you got different levels of, you have different sub areas under Egyptology, So now we should approach everything scientifically, So remember this: science is a domain of evidence, and then mathematics is the domain of logic. And so science and math combined are the most useful tools to know, epistemology, these are tools for all of that. So we would have to bear that in mind. Yeah, I know I mentioned Star Wars and Mandalorian. All right, so let's see. I'm keep going down. Afro Ninja. I've heard you are a good teacher and pseudo at the same time. I'm confused. Nah, people could say, anybody can say anything, right? It's, it's a lot of misnomers and things out here. So the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. Demonstration. So that's a saying. We've all heard that before. Action speaks louder than words. Because actions are the outward expressions of your thoughts. Remember, everything that you do and say originates or starts with a thought. So it's your actions that actually reveal more than what you say. Because you can say anything because it's quick. But your actions form patterns and things like that. And I'm only saying this is because people could say anything about anything and anyone. But you have to look at people's actions and start to pick out or observe patterns that people do and things like that. So, and that's that. You know what I mean? So actions speak louder than words. And then another saying is demonstration beats conversation. And it's for that same reason. Demonstrate. Don't say it. Show me. I could, that saying, I can show you better than I can tell you. So that's what it is. So if people want to see how much of a teacher I am, then try me. Put me to the test. You want to see if I'm pseudo or not, same thing. Try me. Put me to the test. Pseudo has become, people start misusing the word pseudo. Making an error or making a mistake is not pseudo. Pseudo is just like this. Here's another thing. To label someone something, you're doing so because of a pattern. So here's a for instance. If you tell a lie, are you a liar or did you just tell a lie? Think about that. So in order to label somebody as a liar, like, he's a liar, then what you're saying, what's implied in doing that is that person has a habit of lying. That person has a pattern of lying. Therefore, I'm going to label that person a liar. But if a person told a lie, then you're not going to go to the extreme and say they're a liar. So likewise, if anybody makes mistakes, as we all are definitely capable of doing, that doesn't make the person pseudo or whatever the case is. To call somebody pseudo, there has to be a pattern of pseudoism. There has to be a pattern there. So we got to be careful of who we call pseudo. If you don't see a pattern, then don't do that. It's not. That's a abuse. That's an abuse of a term. To just label everything pseudo just because they may be wrong about something or whatnot. We got to be careful with that. All right. But people can say what they want. Like I'm real comfortable. I'm real comfortable. I just say show it. Show it. All right, Travis. What would be the procedure for a layman to challenge these so-called experts whose names mysteriously escape us? Ujao. Wait. Let me read that again. What would be the procedure for a layman to challenge these so-called experts whose names mysteriously escape us? If I understand your question, this is how I give an example. If and I'm gonna use you, Travis, as an example. So here you are, right? You're trying to find an answer to a question. You're curious about something and you're doing some research on it. It could be whatever, right? Your research question. So you and you don't know. So you're in a state of ignorance. You don't know. So you have to defer to the experts. Not appeal to the experts, but you have to defer or defer to authorities, but not appeal to them. Those are two different things. And I did a video about that a long time ago. So here you are. Now, expert number one wrote a book. I mean, two experts, they have two separate books. So you read expert number one book, and you're like, aha, okay. And you're reading about your research. So you're researching, you say, okay, man, all right, good stuff. Now you're reading expert number two's book, and expert number two says something different and contradictory to expert number one. But you, at the moment, you don't know enough to know who's right. So you got two experts saying the opposite of each other, but they're experts. So what situation does that leave you in? So you're stuck now. And so here's what usually happens in these social media streets. People will be in that situation, then they'll start to look at other things to pick which expert they're going to roll with. So if expert one is racially black and expert two is racially white, then a lot of times people are going to be like, all right, I'm going to roll with the black guy or the black woman because I consider myself black, they're black. Hey, we're going to roll together. So they're just going to default to that. Or if it's somebody that they're already an expert they're already familiar with, and is popular, so they'll just go with the popular one and say, okay, yeah, I heard of this expert, so I'm gonna roll with that. But both of those reasons are not what we should be doing. So what really needs to happen is at that moment you have to take the responsibility to gain proficiency enough to be able to discern which expert has a stronger or more compelling argument and provide the data and the evidence and so on and so forth. That's what you have to do. So that's the procedure. And I'm just giving the short and skinny. That's part of the procedure right there. That's what you have to do. That's what you're going to have to do. And like I said earlier, we tend to be lazy, so we want the easy route. So we're not going to do that. People don't read. And that's another reason why I'm pushing this book club, to push reading. You got people who are advocating scientific literacy, and all of the above, but yet there's a lot of people who just don't read. They ask the same questions that are already answered in books, and you point them to a book, and they refuse to read it. A lot of that goes on. So anyway, that's the procedure. That's what you would do. You would have to gain competency in it, And just to give a last real life example, I'm not an auto mechanic, right? I don't know much about cars. And so if something happens to a vehicle, this goes for anybody. If something happens to your car, you have to take it to a mechanic. And you go to a mechanic, and the mechanic, put your car on the lift and checks it out, does a diagnostic, and then they come back. And you going in there thinking it was just some noise coming from your brakes. You're like, man, I need some brake pads or get a new rotor. That's what you're thinking. And you already calculated in your mind. You're like, okay, brake pads going to run me about, to get all four of them, everything like that's going to run me about, what, $200? It's probably cheaper, but About $200. So you going in already budgeted $200. Like, all right, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna pay $200. But the mechanic put your car on the lift and pull it down, and you in the waiting room. He comes back, say, Mr. Chavis, yeah, your brake pads need to be changed out. They're real thin and they rubbed up against your rotors, so we're going to have to resurface your rotors, Mr. Chavis. But also, while we had your car on the lift, we noticed that the muffler and the catalytic converter and the so-and-so, it's going to run you about $3,500. But we can get that fixed for you today, sir. We can get that fixed for you today. We can have you in and out. We can have you in and out, about $3,500. And you're like, what? Like, no, sir. So what you going to do? You're going to go to another mechanic to get a second opinion. And then they're going to do the same thing and whatnot. But here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying is that you have to rely on them to tell you all that stuff because you don't know. Or, people don't know enough about the car. So to prevent that from happening, what are you going to do? You're going to learn at least the basics. Like, you don't have to become a certified auto mechanic, but you need to know some basics, right? You need to know how to change the brake pads, the oil change, the basic stuff. Change a tire, of course. Everybody should know how to change their tires. But you know what I'm saying? So you all get the point. You have to know some of the basics and lock it down. And that's what we all have to do. We have to do that. All right, we have to do that. Or just be handicapped and rely on just put your full trust. Like $3,500. Because there's some people be like, oh, $3,500? Do I really need it? Yes, sir, you need it. I can show you. I hook up the computer and show you. Oh, that's okay. All right, here's my credit card. Go ahead and do that. And they got you right there. They got you. Everything's working fine. They just put some new stuff on there to get commission. All right, so let's keep it moving. Why isn't Egyptology a scientific study? What type of study is it if not scientific? So no, American Dream. Only thing I mean by that is there's people who argue and divide what we would call scientific fields into hard and soft sciences. You got humanities and things like history. Is history scientific? So there's a historical component to Egyptology because it's part of history. Archaeology, where you're actually touching material culture and you're collecting and you're archiving it and you're preserving it and you're doing things and you're ascertaining certain things from physical artifacts and things like that. So that's different than just studying history and whatnot. So wrapped up in there's a mixture, and it's multidisciplinary under the umbrella of Egyptology. And some people don't consider it all a scientific study. That's all. That's all it is to it. Meaning that you're not going to apply the scientific method to every aspect of branches under Egyptology. So some people are real strict with that. If it's not falsifiable by way of the scientific method and things like that, then it's not real science and all that kind of stuff. So when I talk about it, I don't get caught up into that at all. Because whether it's science or not, you still got to study. So I just say the study of Egypt, of ancient Egypt. All right. So that's all I mean with that. Bugsy said literal is easier. Afro Ninja. Bobby West is the standard for education in the community. Am I wrong? See, Afro Ninja trying to start something. That's why he said it, because put that on the highlight. Let's see. The Netcher are literal. The Netaru are real but not literal. So Deshareb, that is incorrect. The Netaru were not and are not literal, but they are real. And so I say that, and I choose my words carefully or intentionally. Something being real and something being literal are two different things. So look into that. They're not literal, but they are real. All right. Listen. In 2022, The year that we live in right now, anybody who believes that there was a man that was a part human and had a falcon head that walked around, literally, please do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go straight to therapy. Go straight to therapy. All right. If anybody believes that there was human beings with a scarab head, or a human being with a frog head, or a human being with a snake head, or a human being with a lion head, etc., etc., etc. If you take that literally, and you think that that these Netaru are literal, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Matter of fact, put the dice down. Give your money back to the banker in the Monopoly game, and go straight to therapy. Go straight to therapy. All right. So, no, sir. The Netaru are not literal. That is not the case. Let's see. Let's keep it going. Yeah, Santa Claus was your dad the whole time. Yep, that's right. Either your mom and dad or just mom, whatever the case is. That's right. You're absolutely right. That's who ate those cooked milk and cookies you left out. Afro Ninja again. Medew Netcher has been debunked by people who can't speak it. Yes, yes. I see Afro Ninja is off the chain tonight with the sarcasms there. Definitely. Medew, and the way you said it, Medew Netter has been debunked by people who can't speak it. But let me say this about that though, because I want to make sure everything is clear. The ancient Egyptian language is not spoken today outside of its iteration as Coptic. So there's a lot of people who don't speak it, but speaking it is a totally different thing than knowing and understanding it and being able to read it. Because and especially when it comes to Sesh Medew Netcher, the writing system, what most people know is hieroglyphic writing. The hieroglyphic writing system did not document the vowels. So there's no representation of the vowels in the writing system. So the pronunciations that we use today are purely conventional. They're purely conventional. We say ma'at, we say unk, we say seneb, we say hetep or hotep and stuff like that. But if we were to time travel back in time and try to have a conversation with an ancient Egyptian, they'll probably look at us with a screw face. Like, what? You know? So, but we could read it, but our pronunciation would be probably way off. All right, so I just want to make sure that's understand, the vocalizations of the language that we use today are purely conventional. Egyptological standards that was created. Because we have to have a way to discuss the language. Now, let me give you a nugget, though. The vowels of every language is the voice of the language. Look up the word vowel, the history of the word vowel, its etymology. It comes from the word vocalis, which is voice. So the vowels of a language is the voice of the language. The consonants of a language represents really the place of articulation. So the consonants actually more so deal with the physical motor skills of your mouth and tongue and teeth and things like that. Whereas the vowels deals with your vocal cords, the voice, the blockage of air, the release of air, the vibrations and all that other kind of stuff. That's where the vowels come in. That's why they say we have short, long vowels, front vowels, mid vowels, back vowels and stuff like that, where these things come from and how they are articulated. All right, so keep all that in mind and let's keep it going. What is your position on the act of appealing to common belief and anonymous authority in stating one is sticking to the experts. Yeah, anonymity in authority is really a problem. See, listen, I was trained as a member of a debating team in college and in high school, but I learned the most in when I went to college, and there are things that was drilled that I remember like as if it was yesterday that was drilled into us of what you the do's and don'ts in arguments, and everything is not a debate, and everybody some people believe an argument is like a negative thing, like a heated discussion, and that's not the case. An argument is not that. And I did Facebook posts on defining these terms. People got to really get back to consulting, looking up the history of how words are used, because people are starting to misuse a lot of these words. But anyway, so I said it to say that there was do's and don'ts, and you don't want to commit logical fallacies by appealing to, like you said, to common belief, or anonymous authority, or whatever the case is. Now they got formal names for that. Appealing to common belief, I forget what the Latin for that. Matter of fact, we used to have to memorize these things, and shame on me. But it's been a minute, so I've definitely don't have those in the forefront of my mind. But to appeal to the popular, I think it's ad populatum, or what have you, and things like that, or appealing to authority, anonymous or not, is a violation, a logical fallacy. Can't do that. Shouldn't do that. All right. So my position on that is to not do it. Stay away from it. Know how to recognize it when it's done, and know how to address it though. You have to know how to address that. You have to recognize it and point it out. Every time somebody does that, make sure you point it out. Make sure you point it out. Straw man logical fallacies, ad hominem, appeal to authority, slippery slopes, Scotsman, all those different logical fallacies that people commit. Learn them, point them out when they happen. And listen, I'm gonna tell you this: don't move the conversation forward until you do. Don't do that. And never do this. This is something that will always be in my mind. Never acquiesce to a faulty premise. Never do that. That's rule number 1. Never acquiesce to a faulty premise, because if you do, you will be led to a faulty conclusion each and every time. So when somebody lays out their premise, if it's faulty, don't move from that point. Straighten that out first. Always. Don't get into any details afterwards. Don't advance the conversation forward or anything. Don't pace it forward or nothing. Stay right there on the premise. And the same thing with questions. When people ask you questions, just because people put a question mark after a statement or after a string of words doesn't mean that it is an actual question, and it doesn't mean that the question is formed properly. You have ill-formed questions. So likewise, don't acquiesce to ill-structured questions, and never acquiesce to a faulty premise. Anyway, so that's my tidbit to share with y'all. Never do that. Yep. All right, next, let's see. What's the opinion on being characterized as a cult because of your understanding of Greenberg's typological grouping of African language? Yeah, that's just immature and silly. That's just silly. Like I said, see, on the internet, that's why, and see, Chavis, you gonna get me started on my soapbox. I am known, like if people don't know anything else about me, I am known for being critical of the so-called conscious community. I've labeled it the circus community. I've labeled it as the as what else? The microwave community, all whatever. And it's all pointing to the same thing. there's a lot of immaturity going on. You have people who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that are acting like teenagers, acting like, high schoolers, grade schoolers, and people are really lowering the bar, because what happens is, I'm telling you, just look around us. The quality of a lot of different things has diminished. You know, I'm old enough to see it. So like, let's just take music. So because I don't want sensitive people to get offended. So let me put it onto music. Like, if you let's just take hip hop. Hip hop in the 90s is considered the golden era of hip hop. The 90s, 1990s. If you compare hip hop then, and I'm not talking about the advancement in the technology with the sonics, because today's music sonically sounds better in terms of high fidelity and things like that. But I'm talking about the quality of the overall music. The lyrics, the music, the beats and things like that. Just hip hop alone, and compare it to what's going on right now. There's really no comparison. You got this mumble rap, this auto tune. Everybody sounds the same. Not even singing. They're auto tuning raps now instead of singing. I'm gonna blame T-Pain for that. He the one to open that door for that, made it popular. But anyway, yeah, all that kind of stuff. And so what I'm getting at is that a lot of the things around us, the quality and the bar is being lowered instead of us elevating to where the bar is, and hopefully elevate it even further higher and better quality. We're actually pulling the bar down. And so the same thing is happening with academic type stuff and scholarly type of things. The bar is being lowered down. Anybody can be anything on the internet. People who are not trained in anything, don't have any competency in any of this stuff, but they want to argue. They want to sit on the computer, hang out, and argue. And then they create it in a sport type of environment. They mix a tablespoon of entertainment and all the other stuff, and it's just a big mess. So anyway, I say all that to get back to your thing. Characterized as a cult, all that stuff is silly. All that stuff is silly. And anybody in my recent conversation about Greenberg, with anybody I had a conversation with Greenberg, those guys don't read, because it's clear that what I shared about Greenberg's language classification when it comes to African languages is very, very simple if you simply read. That's it. But we're dealing with people who refuse to read. And in my recent conversation over on the Pseudo Killers channel, I specifically asked, will you read it? I made a suggestion of something to read, and they refused. They said, nope. And the excuses are abundant. It's like, nope, not until I find Jean-Claude Mboli on the internet somewhere will I take my time out to read anything. I'm like, all right, then I'm done with you. Then I'm done. Like that's the end of the conversation. Go ask somebody else some silly stuff. Then, if people refuse to read, that's when that's when the fun is taken away. For me, like that's like I don't have that's not in my humor. I like to have fun too, but I have limitations. So anyway, that's my answer to you, Chavis. All that stuff is silly. It really is silly. So, what else? I'm going down the list. Anyway, so again, if you just tuned in, shout out to everybody who's tuned in. I'm just hanging with the chat, going down the chat, and hopefully I'll probably go faster. I'm just gonna go to the chat, hanging out, helping y'all digest your food or work it off, or if y'all woke up from your comatose nap from the itis kicking in after you ate that burgers and hot dogs off the grill today, or whatever the case is. We just hanging out. All right, so I'm just trying to go through this, hang out with you all. So Buxy says, is there anything similar to the 7 liberal arts and sciences in ancient Egypt? Um, yes, there is. Matter of fact, we should do a show on that. So Buxy, inbox me that same thing, so we can collect some notes on that, so we could do a show on that. But the short answer is yes. Yep. And it deals with, you probably already know this, it deals with the deity, female deity, Seshat, Jehudi. Those are the first 2 deities that come to mind when you mention, when you ask that question, 7 liberal arts and sciences. All right. So, but yeah, inbox me on that so we can do a show on it. But the short answer is yes. All right, let's keep on going down. Got Dundada in the building. Another one. Chavis, how do you feel about people charging you with tricknology? What is tricknology according to you? Yeah, I don't know. Tricknology, I think that term became popular among the Nation of Islam, really. If I'm not mistaken. I think that's where I first heard it. I think Nation of Islam made that popular. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody can correct me. But what does it mean? I don't know what people mean these days. I don't know. Trick'emship. I heard trick'emship, flim flam, tricknology. I heard all that stuff. But again, I don't take that stuff serious. I don't, because in the context and where I hear these things, I see it as a psychological problem. I see it as a personal problem that people have of insecurity. And it's like this here. If you've been burnt, and by burnt I mean it could be anything. Let's just say you okay, let's just use an example of a woman. She's opening her heart, she's pouring herself out to a guy, and she lets the guy in her heart. She drops her guard. She's like, man, he's the one. He's the one. She gives all into it. She cuts off all her other friends, male friends and whatnot, and she dedicates, give her whole attention to this one guy. And then in the beginning, it's all good. 30 days later, she finds out the guy is messing with somebody else, cheating on her, or whatever the case is, whatever she considers that. And she's hurt. She's burnt. So at that moment, she could be so burnt that her next guy that she meets, she's not going to trust them. Like, nah, man, I was burnt. I was already burnt, so I'm not going to trust anybody. I'm going to keep my guards up. Nope. And see, and that's what we do. Now, that's a very common thing that we do. But I'm only bringing it up because people tend to do that in these YouTube streets, in the so-called conscious community, circus community. People, because remember, the quote-unquote conscious community, for the most part, is made up of people that woke up from something else. That's why they call it conscious community, because consciousness means to be awake, aware. To be conscious of something is to be aware of something, like you woke up. And so the conscious community is supposed to ideally be a community of people who woke up from something. And so whatever it is that you woke up from, when you look back, you feel like you were burnt. You don't want to be fooled anymore. You were fooled. You were tricked at one point. And then you woke up. So whether you think all the Abrahamic stuff is craziness, but you grew up as a Christian or a Muslim, but then something triggered and then you're no longer a Christian, you're no longer a Muslim, you may even be an atheist or whatever the case is, and now you look back, you're like, nope, I'm not. Oh, I don't want to get tricked anymore. So then when you entertain these conversations, anything that you feel, your defense go up, and you feel like you're being tricked by everybody. You feel like the whole world is against you. Everybody's out to trick you. And to me, you ask me how I feel. What I feel about that, those are psychological issues that need to be teased out. Those are personal issues that people have that they need to work on. Just like that woman in my example, a woman can get burnt, heartbroken. But should she live the rest of her life not trusting any man? No, that's detrimental. You can't live life like that. So the same thing, you cannot be paranoid and think everybody's trying to out to trick you. So anyway, that's my answer for that. And I don't mean to be dwelling on these questions too long like that. Afro, explain on Bobby being the standard. Oh, Jolanda, I think he was playing. I think he was being sarcastic. And I know I'm late, y'all. So give me time to catch up in the chat. So y'all priority sorted that whole conversation out already. So let me try to go speed it up a bit. To say the Netaru were figurative is an oxymoron. No, it's not. To say that the Netaru are literal is actually nuts. It is. As I said before, and I'm going to say it one more time and that's it. Anybody who believes that there were half human and half animal creatures walking around the earth, don't pass go. Don't collect your $200. Put the dice down. Put your properties back up. Give it all back to the board, and don't even play Monopoly anymore. Go straight to therapy. Just go straight to therapy. If you believe that the ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses were literal beings like that, then this is not for you. I'm gonna tell you straight like that. Like I can't take people serious that do that. You know, that are stuck with doing that. Like I don't mind helping, but people that are stuck on that, nah. You're just not ready, and that's cool with me. Like no love lost. It's just that you're not ready. Olarisha, peace, Alafia. We have Jolanda in the house. Forget my manners. Peace to Sister Jolanda. And shout out to sisters, period. Cause we had a recent show about sisters, whether they should be silenced or not, and where and all this and that. And you know, I just thought that was crazy to me. That whole conversation is blown up all out of proportion and things like that. And I really don't like that. You know what I'm saying? We run this channel right here that y'all are on. I'm on. Y'all hearing me on right now, the Sesh channel. We run it the way we run it, and we actually create a space where everybody can have a mature dialogue. And that's why in our archives you do not see our videos. We don't get out of hand. We don't do all that stuff. Our Facebook group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, the Sesh Monumental Netcher Facebook group, just compare our group, our videos and our archives, our channel, our websites. Compare anything that we do to anybody else, what everybody else does. And I'm not saying one or to put some other one down as if we're uppity and better than. So I don't want y'all to get that impression of what I'm saying. But what I don't like and what you all should not allow people to do is don't try to equalize what we do, what I do, with what other people do just for the sake of arguing and exaggerating something. That's just not going to happen if I can help it. Nah, that's just not going to happen. You know. And I have receipts. That's why I said I created a photo album on my Facebook page of 50 to 60 pictures of screenshots of me being consistently critical against the bad character, the bad actors in the conscious community, the drama, the fussum, the fussing, the fighting, even some people, you know, threatening and trying to get physical with each other, all that kind of stuff. I've been very critical of that for years. For years. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Amaral Squad Facebook group, the rules that you see when you first get in there, I did those. Like the moderation rules and stuff like that I put those there. So I've been an advocate for what I say, and I stand on what I say for years. So anybody mischaracterize that's just straight up foul. So anyway, I don't even know why I was just saying that. Something I just saw made me say that. Oh yeah, I was saying shout out to women, sisters. All right, men and women should be able to communicate with each other without worrying about things getting out of hand. Now I can't control what people do on their own channels and stuff. So if people want to do a whole video and curse out a sister, or vice versa, a sister fire up a YouTube channel and curse out a brother, you know, hey, I can't control that and whatnot. I don't support that, but I can't control that. But on this channel, nah. That's not happening. And it doesn't happen. Like I haven't posted the link here, but I usually post the link that anybody could come in. Anybody could come in. And notice that when I do that, we don't, there's no drama. There's no drama. Even when people disagree with what I'm saying, they come on here and we have a nice conversation. We have a nice conversation. I mean, man, we got to get back to that. We have to get back to that. All right. So anyway, let me try to go down these quickly. Thank you. What's that? Okay. Yeah. No problem. Travis. And I know Travis ate good, boy, man. Travis. Every now and then you'll see Travis on Facebook post up his dishes and stuff. Travis has no shame. Travis will post a picture of an entire cow, macaroni and cheese, and not just a piece, not a piece of, not a steak, but he'll put a whole cow, macaroni and cheese and everything on there in a styrofoam plate and say yum. That'll be the caption. That'll be the caption on the on the picture. So I know Travis ate good, boy. Hey man, but you gotta tell Sean. Sean gotta slow it down a bit. Sean put on some weight. Sean's like one double cheeseburger away. And if Sean's not listening, make sure you tell him that. Tell him I said he got cut back, boy. I'm gonna have to talk to Siobhan, his wife. Pass the message over there. Say, hey, I don't know what you're cooking over there, but you gotta lessen the portions. Lessen the portions. Let's see. Oh, Afro Ninja. Yeah, see, Afro Ninja. I'm gonna call him the resident sarcastic. What's a person who's sarcastic? What's they called? What they called? A sarcasser? What is a person who's always sarcastic? What do they call? Sarcasticist? Sarcastus? Anyway, yeah, Afro Ninja. Yeah, you're that for today. You're that for today. So Jolanda is stepping in and answering a question. Egyptology is said to be philosophical, and I would reckon it is also historical. Yep. And that's what I was saying earlier. There's aspects of Egyptology that would and could follow the more rigid scientific process, but then there's people who say it's in the humanities and anthropology itself, and all these different subfields. So I don't get into that. I don't get into that. I'm not. That doesn't. I don't put any stake in that to argue that. Okay, let's keep on going down the list. Afro Ninja's off the chain. Only white people can have universities. Yeah, see, you all see Sabre University on the screen. Now, it was totally exaggerated the other day that because we use the word Sabre University or the title Sabre University, that we think that we're Harvard or Yale. But you know what's interesting about those comments, though, even more than that silliness right there, is y'all have to like step back and read the context, the bigger picture. What those comments are saying is that we have to be like, only at Harvard and Yale type of situations can we actually have a scholarly conversation or a conversation without the drama. And anybody who believes that, listen, unfriend me. To you be yours and to me be mine. Because I can't deal with people with that mentality like I can't deal with people who don't read. I just can't. I will help people who don't read. But I do not like people who don't read who want to sit there and argue all the time. I can't be bothered. Not at this stage. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I would have had all the time in the world for you. But right now, I do not tolerate that. If you refuse to read, but you got time to argue, that doesn't go together. That's like oil and what? Oil and water? Oil and vinegar? No, not oil and vinegar. Whatever. Y'all know what I'm saying. That doesn't gel right. And so I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with that. If and anybody who thinks that we have to be Harvard or Yale like to have a academic discourse or a scholarly discourse and stuff, or we gotta be in that environment to act right, that's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. We can create spaces where we can communicate without cursing each other out, without cutting people off, without all the drama and everything that we see. Because everything I'm saying, everybody knows that that's what goes on in these YouTube streets. I don't know why people want to front and act like it doesn't happen. We don't have to be at Harvard or Yale to dial back, to eliminate that stuff. And so this is what I advocate. So instead of talking about it, demonstration beats conversation. I'm not going to say I'm creating a safe space for people to do this or whatever, and then don't do it. So this YouTube channel, our conversations that we always have, our classes, the website, we have 2 websites that are kind of related. SeshMetalNetcher.com. I've had that site for a long time. Saber University is newer, but it's not new like that. Look up the domain name, and you'll see when I registered that domain name. It was a good long minute ago, and so I've been on this vibe and stance to create an environment to learn, and we can have fun doing it, but we don't have to have the drama. We don't have to have the noise. That's not getting us anywhere. Look at the topics that people are bringing up. These are old topics. These are old, and I wish it was an easier way for Facebook to allow people to download these conversations in chronological order. Because if I could, I'm telling you, I would edit it up and publish it as a book or free digital PDF or something, so people can see how old these topics are and how we address things. We hash things out. We resolve the questions and stuff. But yeah, people keep bringing them up. New people I understand, but not the same old people. Like Chavez brought up the Greensburg thing. Do you understand how many times we've discussed that with the same people? With the same people. And at some point, you just gotta be like, you're not ready. You're not ready. That's like repeating grade school. That's like being in 9th grade 4 times in a row. All your friends graduated high school. You still in 9th grade. No. Anyway, let me keep it going. Let's see. I'm gonna keep going down. You all are having a whole conversation in the chat. So I'm skipping down. That's right. I said nobody said anything about humans. All right. We're talking about Netaru. All right. Yep. Keep on going. All right, Ramza. Now, Ramza, I'm trying to decipher. I need. Listen, does anybody in the chat have a Ramza Rosetta Stone? Because sometimes, Ramza, I read your comments and I'm just telling you, I don't understand all of them. I told you this before, but I'm just saying it. I need a Rosetta Stone so I can really understand. But this one, let's see. I was amazed at the almost complete plagiarism the writers used to write Revelations. Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother topic right there. The Book of Revelations. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We have Donald. Donald's in the house. Anyway, peace to Ramza, peace to Donald, brother Donald. Are the Netaru real in the sense that they are forces of nature? Yes, they're real, but not literal. They are ontological and taxonomic labels for the organization of the existence of the people who actually create these different deities and whatnot. And that's true for many gods all around the world in different cultures. They represent things, and they're organizational structure of reality in an ontological and taxonomic way. So ontology is basically, the gist of ontology is the study of being, but it's the organization of existence. Because to be is to exist. The to be verb, which is, am, was, and were in English, we call it the to be verb. It's the existential or the existence of something. And so ontology is a study of beingness. And so they organize that which is or that which exists into categories. And at the hierarchical level, the top level, they label them almost like a file folder, a filing cabinet. Imagine a filing cabinet in your room, a tall filing cabinet with several drawers. So each drawer, on the front of the drawer, is a deity's name. So for example, Heru. So there's a drawer, filing cabinet in your room, and there's a drawer with the deity Heru on the front. When you open the drawer, every folder in that drawer has something in common, just enough for you to categorize it and organize it in the same drawer. And so the deity becomes the top level hierarchical label and taxonomic label for the organization of existence. And so Heru, so if we think about Heru represents kingship. Everyone should understand that. But what comes with kingship? There's many attributes that come along with that are in the same vicinity as that. So you have entrepreneurship, you have managerial skills, manager, the will, the human will itself, the ability to choose, the boss, I would say entrepreneur, leadership. What else? Coordinator, to be able to coordinate smaller parts into one and let it run smooth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can name a whole bunch. All of these qualities would be in that same file folder headed by Heru. Take Sekhmet, for example, the female, I'm going to use a female one, female deity. She's the head or patron of all things medical. Okay, disease, sickness, and cures and whatnot on both sides. Pathogens, the cures to them, and so on and so forth. So everything dealing with medical, the medical industry, physicians, health, and things like that would fall in her drawer, the drawer where she's the label on. Look at Jehudi. Jehudi is the ultimate conflict resolutionist, meaning Jehudi will see a problem, properly identify it, and solve it by never creating another problem. So the solutions that Jehudi gives to a problem are not in such a way that it creates another problem somewhere else. That's why he's the deity that all other deities consult with. Heru, when he was fighting Satuk, he had to go to Jehudi to win the battle. He's about to kill his mother all set, chopping her head off. Jehudi was like, nah, later for that. We can solve this differently. Anyway, not to be all too long. But yeah, you're right, Donald. So did the man ever claim to be the standard asking for a friend? Oh, yeah, Jolanda's still on that. So I may be behind, but I thought y'all worked that out. Afro Ninja was cracking jokes. Let's see what else we're going through. I must be way behind. Let me try to go quicker down the line, y'all. I apologize. Then learning even basic astrology and astronomy will help with the herpes. What? Yeah, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Ramsey, I need listen, somebody go dig up the Rosetta Stone to Ramsa's comments, because I cannot decipher some of this stuff. I'm just being straight. I can't. What does this mean? The learning of even basic astrology and astronomy will help with the herpes of Christianity in our mind. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get what you're saying. I think I do, but I don't know. I'm not that poetic. And that's the thing. I deal with analogies and figurative expression all the time. But boy, you are another level. You're on another level. Afro Ninja, women can't speak for themselves on some Hebrew stuff nowadays in the black community. Uh-huh. Let's keep on going. Yeah, Afro Ninja, man. You know, I know you playing. You got he being sarcastic, y'all. Yeah, don't take what Afro Ninja saying to heart. Which I was a cult leader, even though I've never paid him a dime. Let's see, we keep on going down. Keep on going down the list. Yeah, shout out to everybody who hanging out. You know, I'm just helping y'all digest y'all food. It's late. You know, you shouldn't be eating late anyway. Let's see. Keep on going. Shout out to his brother Zane in the building. Sundiata, he said, I don't know, Mr. Morale. And the big stepper is pretty damn good. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, you all are having your own conversation. So I'm trying to fly through these. There's history, culture, DNA that's tied to that classification. You got to be out of pseudo mind to dismiss all that. Wait a minute. There's history, culture, DNA that's tied to that classification. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Yeah, and I'm behind, so I apologize. I'm behind a bit on the comments, so I may be getting things out of. Olarisha says, tuned in from New Orleans. All right, glad I found this channel. Good vibe to it. All right, hey, listen, I appreciate. Welcome. We say ETM Hotel, which is welcome and peace. You know, you're more than welcome. Now I normally give the link out on here, but I didn't intend on being long at all. I just just hanging out, helping everybody digest the good food they ate today, and make sure nobody gained too much weight and everything. But normally, we have these Kemet Chills. I'll post the link first, even before I start. The link is posted there just to give you an idea. So you're more than welcome. Make sure you return. Make sure you subscribe. All right. MF Dread Son, greetings. All right, Hotep, greetings. All right, let's keep on going. I'm going down. I apologize for me being late to the comments. I'm trying to work my way down. Zane says, high school graduates are level entry conscious community members. Let's see, keep going. Afro Ninja says, Heru is real and so is Moses. Okay. Yeah, they're real. They're just not literal. And he says, and the Remich are figurative. No, the Remich are actual people. Yeah, I don't get that. Oh, this is a good point. Boom, shout out to Boom. He says, calling someone a pussy is not misogynistic. It's short for pusillanimous. And I hope, let me see how to pronounce that. See, I don't like mispronouncing words. Pussy. I heard that before. I actually never looked up how to. There we go, right there. Let me see how to pronounce this word properly. Oh, pusillanimous. All right, that's it. Pusillanimous. That's the proper pronunciation, y'all. Pusillanimous. And that is very, very true. That's very, very true. Somebody pointed that out to me. I didn't know that. Somebody pointed out to me a while back though, but I didn't always know that. But to call someone a pussy, people think it's in reference to a female anatomy, but it's actually not. It's pusillanimous. It's short for that. All right, so look that up. Look up that word. That's a good one. Let's see what else we have here going on. American Dream. Let's see. How do we know language are genetically related and not just typologically related? Okay, very good question. And the short answer is that there's a tool to use to make that determination. And that tool is called historical comparative linguistics. It's the comparative method in historical linguistics, but we just say it as the historical comparative method. It is that method that is the tool to determine genetic relationships between languages. And to give you an analogy, it's the same thing on a biological level of trying to determine the relationships between two people biologically. You have to use the tool of DNA testing, genome sequencing. So if you were adopted, if somebody was adopted and they're trying to find their biological parents, in order to prove or disprove who you suspect to be your parents, you would have to get your genomes, your DNA sequenced, and then who you suspect would have to get their DNA sequence, and then you do the comparisons on that level. And so in language, in linguistics, there is a method that is analogous to that, which is the comparative method, where you have regular sound meaning correspondences on all aspects of the language, from its morphology to its phonology and the whole nine. That's how that's done. And so I'm just giving you the short and skinny of it. That's how it's done. All right. So that would be a genetic system, not a typological one. Now, typological classifications has its purpose or has its utility, just like the genetic ones do. Same thing with human beings. If I wanted to separate men from women, if I want to take a room of 100 people and say the men get on the left hand side of the room and women get on the right hand side of the room, that serves a purpose. If I were to, let's say, hand out t-shirts, because I have men's t-shirts and I have women's t-shirts. So I want the women to go on the right hand side of the room and men be on the left hand side of the room to make it easy for me to pass out these t-shirts. Right? I got the boxes of men's shirts, I throw it over on the left. The boxes of women's t-shirts, I throw it over on the right and say, hey, y'all go ahead and pick your shirts out. So that has utility. But I would be lying to say that all the women on the right hand side of the room are sisters, and all the men on the left hand side of the room are biological brothers. I would be lying, because I did not test that. I did not separate that for that. And so that's what happened with the language conversations recently that we've had about Greenberg language classification for African languages. They're not genetic groupings. They're just not. But people still use them, like we say Afro-Asiatic, Nilo-Saharan, Niger-Congo. They still use them because on a typological level, or it's used as a multilateral comparative method, or comparison method is the method, that the name of the method. But it has its utility as long as you know what it means. Just like the women being on the right-hand side of the room in my example, we know what that's for. But we dare not say all those women are related. Just like people say, okay, these typological classification that people say and use, as long as you just know that they're not genetic groupings, we're good. We're good. So that's the whole thing. And anybody who don't understand that, then they're just not ready. This is not something that's for them. Like, they just got to do something else. That's it. All right, let me keep it going down. And I'm probably way behind y'all. Let me try to get way down here. I don't want to miss anything either. Let's see, Chavis. Real talk, I think insecurities are being projected and gaslighting attempts grounded in the fact that people are understanding things a little better than others. Yep. Judy says, what is a word? Boy, Judy's about to open up a whole lecture right there with that question. What is a word? But hey, that's an important question. A word is really three things. Its form, meaning, and the link between the two. That's what a word really is. And so go check out our videos where we break that down. That's all I'm gonna give you right now. Sound like Wujao thinks there is a sequence. Did I get that wrong? Huh? He says, sounded like Wujao thinks there is a sequence. Yeah, I must have missed something in the conversation. Forgive me, y'all. I'm trying to scroll back now because I'm curious to know what is it that I misunderstood. Y'all clarify for me. I'm gonna keep it moving down, but y'all clarify that for me. As a matter of fact, Emicat, if you could post a link, because I'm gonna be on here for a little. I'm gonna spend 15 minutes, so I'm gonna post a link. It's easier. Post a link so that we can just if you're, it'd be easier because I'm behind on the comments and if I don't want to miss anything. All right, let's see. I'm gonna keep on going. American Dream, he says, I think there was a misunderstanding. Okay, yeah, see. And then MF Doom, DNA can't tell you what language someone spoke. Absolutely not. It can't. DNA will not tell you what language a person spoke. MF, he suggested that Greenberg only look at typological relations and not genetic ones, as if there are genetic relations to be made. I may be misunderstanding. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you all are having that conversation, but I'm not sure if what I can do to help that conversation, or if y'all even need my help, because I'm not sure we are in the conversation. So I'm trying to scroll down. He said maybe he will speak on it tonight, but there another 5-hour long video on the channel saying otherwise. Yeah, y'all are gonna have to clarify that. Before I get off now, we're gonna clarify that. We're going to clarify that. All right, y'all are gonna clarify that. American Dream. The historical comparative method shows genetic relations, not typological ones, or uses typological to determine genetic relationships. You're asking those questions. Let me skip all it. Listen, forgive me, you all, if I missed your question. I'm skipping all the way to the bottom to be current, because now you all are. I don't want anybody to leave here confused about anything. So this language thing seems to be a important issue, and I got 15 minutes. So let's all right. So we're gonna narrow the conversation down to that. So the panel link has been posted. If y'all can get on the panel, do so. If not, then repeat your questions so I could be clear. I'm at the bottom. I'm caught up to everything in the chat. Okay. The last thing I see in the chat is Judy said languages, and Emmy kept put no saliva swapping will tell you what language a person spoke. If so, please take a 23andMe test and come tell us. That's the last thing I see. So if you all want me to kind of clarify something, because I'm not sure if you all are asking me or you're having a conversation among yourselves, because I skipped to the bottom. So just re-ask your question. All right. Re-ask your question. Okay, so MF says, I'm going back a little bit. My claim stands. There's no DNA sequence to tell you what language someone spoke. That's true. I mean, so yeah, you all are having that conversation. That's definitely not for me because there's no DNA. There's no marker for what language you speak. There is just none. And for anybody who thinks otherwise, just produce the evidence. That's all, because I'm an evidence follower. I respect evidence. Later for how I feel, I'll deal with the evidence. There's no DNA marker that will, you're not going to dig up somebody's body and extract their genome, sequence their genome, and then say, aha, they spoke Italian. Mamma mia. They said, Mamma mia. No, that's not happening. But yeah, go ahead and ask. Let's sort this out. I don't know what the confusion is right now, but let's sort it out. Let's sort it out. I like to keep that chat on the screen so y'all know when I'm only here, because I don't want this to be the only thing on the screen. So let's sort it out. I have time. Demba, peace to Demba. Bye. It said language will always be an issue due to we don't speak our own language and our own definitions. Definitions. Wow, y'all see what he did there? He combined deaf and the word Phoenicians. Greetings, Medicine 1111. All right, so I'm kind of waiting on that discussion. Like, what's the issue? What is the issue? Who's having the issue about language? Deshrab says DNA archaeology play a huge role in historical linguistics. Deshrab, do me a favor and let me know what historical linguistic book that you've read. Give me the title and author if you can, and just give me a ballpark of where that is discussed. What you just said is discussed. And then I'll go from there. All right, y'all do that. So listen, it seems like we were on the road, but then now this language thing has kind of what do you call it? Bottlenecked us, and I got 10 minutes, I got 15, maybe 15 more minutes, y'all. So I'm trying to, I don't want to leave, and this came up, and then you all are and anybody's confused about it. So, but I don't understand what the issue or the question is. So somebody re-asked the question, because I scrolled down the chat to get to the end, and I may have missed it. I'm thinking you all are talking to yourselves, among yourselves. So if that's a question to me, and if not, let me do this. So I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna take what I think you all are going back with each other about. I'm gonna take what I think it's about, and I'm just gonna share something. So I'm gonna explain this in the most basic way that I can. I've done this before, but I'm gonna say it in as simple as I can. Right? When it comes to the language classification system that we have today, that we are most familiar with, when you hear the term Afroasiatic, you hear the term Nilo-Saharan, Khoisan, and Niger-Congo. When you hear those terms, those are groupings. Okay? Inherent in any group or any category is an inclusionary law and an exclusionary law, meaning that in order for anything to be included in a group or a category, it has to fit a certain criteria, okay, which separates and distinguishes the groups. Now, that language classification system originates with Joseph Greenberg, okay? Now, the method that he used to come up with those groupings is called the multilateral comparison method. Some people say mass comparison, etc. So you may find it under different terms, but you will definitely see multilateral comparisons. That is the method that he used to produce this classification system. Now, in order to determine the genetic relationship between languages, and I have to pause right there for a second, so put a pin in that, what I just said. Let me explain. When we're talking about languages and you hear the term genetics, it is used figuratively. Linguistics, nomenclature, and specialized terms borrow from the field of biology. So in linguistics, you may hear us say morpheme, morph, morphology. Well, guess what? The word morphology originates from the Greeks in terms of coining the term, but it's used in biology. The changing of an organism, the changes within an organism, et cetera, et cetera. It's morph. We say, well, somebody morph into something else, we say it's changing, or the morphology of something is dealing with the structure, biological structure, right? But in languages, we also use the term morpheme, morph, and morphology. So the same thing with the word genetics. So it's used figuratively. So now let's unpause what I said. So in order to determine the genetic relationship between two or more languages, there is a certain method that you have to use. That method is called the comparative method within historical linguistics, but we simply say historical comparative linguistic method. All right? It's a actual tedious procedure that is very, very scientific in nature, that walks through the comparisons between two or more languages in a very systematic way in order to make these determinations. Greenberg did not use that method to produce his classification system. Thus, his classification system, which is the one that we say every day, is not a genetic classification system. It is a classification system based on the mass comparisons. And we just call it a typological, it's based on typology, the typological system, which is another way of saying surface. It's really lookership. So let me give you the equivalent of what that is, right? It's the same thing as the example I gave earlier. I have a room full of 100 people. I tell the women to stand on the right side of the room. I tell the men to stand on the left side of the room. When I do that, I have created two categories. Those two categories I created are based on gender. So those are gender categories. And I can do that for multiple reasons. If, like my example I gave earlier, if I had some men's t-shirts or some men's tennis shoes to give away, I want the men to be on the left side of the room to make it easy for me to pass out these shoes. But then I might have some women's style shoes that I want to give to women. So I have all the women go to the right side of the room so that I can easily pass out the women's shoes. That's the reason why I separate the two groups. But it's based on gender, right? So now, if I were to then say all the women on the right-hand side of the room are biological sisters of one another, I would be lying. And if I said the same thing about the men on the left side of the room, I say, hey, all the men on the left side of the room are biological siblings. They're brothers. I would be lying. Why? How would I be lying? Because the criteria I used in order to separate the two groups was not based on DNA sequencing for me to determine the biological relationship of those people. It was only a surface gender basis for me separating the two groups. Okay? So that's the difference. So the two groups are not a biological relationship groups. It's just gender. Men and women. I could say red shirts on the left, green shirts on the left, et cetera, et cetera. But y'all should get that example. So now back to Greenberg. Greenberg, his method is equivalent to the first example I gave. He did lookership is the way that we would say it on the YouTube streets. He used lookership to group languages together. He did not dig into the DNA and analyze the DNA of these languages to determine their relationships. And I can't be any more simple than that. So these language classification system, these language groupings that we are familiar with right now, they're not genetic ones. They're typological ones. And most linguists, and I actually have yet to find one who doesn't, but I know that they exist. So that's why I say most. Most linguists already know this. They reject Greenberg's method in insofar as determining genetic relationships, they already know his method is not for that. But his method is made for typological. So in other words, the method that Greenberg used is one of the first steps that a historical linguist would do. They would take languages and just peruse the languages and take a surface glance at these languages to try to set up the beginning stages of the real work. Because you have to be suspicious of the relationship before you would even know to compare. Like, for example, there's over 2,000. How many languages on the continent of Africa? There's over 2,000 languages, and somebody can keep me honest because I'm going off the top of my head. But there's, I believe there's over 2,000 languages spoken on the continent of Africa right now. So if I intend to try to establish genetic relationships between languages, of course I have to start off by my suspicions first. So I have to peruse the languages to take my pick and be like, all right, out of these 2,000, okay, which ones should I even examine? So of course you're going to take a surface look at these languages and say, okay, all right, I see these two languages have gender distinction, masculine and feminine. This language marks the feminine with a T. This language marks the feminine with a W. But they both mark the feminine as a suffix, a suffixal marker. So that's suspect enough. All right, let me grab those two languages. You see? Now I can't stop there. I can't say just because I noticed that those two languages are related. That's only the beginning of my work. And that's what Greenberg did. Greenberg only did the surface, which he calls multilateral comparison method. That's what he did. And if you pick up any historical comparative linguistic textbook, it will tell you this. All right. So anyway, that's all I have time to really explain for that. And hopefully that is simple right there. Hopefully the way I just explained that is simple enough for everybody to get. Okay. The reason why Greenberg classification system is still prominently used or the labels are used is because it's because the label represents a typological grouping, which for many people that use it, whatever, that's good enough. But when you're trying to actually determine the relationships between the language, the genetic relationship between the language, you have to abandon it. And most people are not into that work or don't need to do that. All right, so let me give you an analogy of what I just said. If I'm an owner of a company, right? I own a company. And I need to hire 15 employees to fill these job positions. I need to hire 15 people. When I put the call out and ask for resumes and ask for interviews and whatnot, and people, they come and get interviewed, I don't need to know if any of those 15 people are biologically siblings of one another. I don't need to know that for that. So it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't need to know that. So all I care about is providing an equal opportunity for men and women. So if I have to hire 20 people, I want 10 of them to be men and 10 of them to be women. I don't care if they're related to one another. I only care about 10 men and 10 women because I want to keep it balanced. I want to provide equal opportunity to both men and women. That's my goal. So I'm not even going to ever worry about their DNA or their biology or any of that kind of stuff. And that's practical and useful. So I say that to say that most people don't do anything that requires knowledge of the genetic relationship between languages. That's why you don't hear it. So Greenberg's classification and the labels that we are familiar with, that's good enough for what people talk about. Afroasiatic, okay. Because here's the thing. Once you say Afroasiatic, you know what languages fall up under it. And that's good enough for these conversations. Okay, I know it's Semitic. I know it's this. I know it's this. I know it's that. And that's it. That's the extent of the conversation. So it's like, all right, cool. But when you drill down, you have a need to it, you have to abandon it. Just like in my example, if I'm hiring people and I need to hire siblings, then I have to abandon my previous method. I have to actually get down to the DNA. I have to be like, okay, brothers and sisters, I mean, I need, can y'all bring bring some kind of proof to me? You see what I'm saying? So anyway, hopefully y'all understand that. And this is really not hard at all. And what's going to happen though, and I'm just doing that little short thing, but what I believe that's going to have to happen is, somebody's going to have to fire up a specific class styled lecture, at least an hour, maybe an hour long to just show. Because for the life of me, I don't understand that when I say those things that people have a hard time understanding what I just said. I've gone out my way to show pictures and stuff like that, but maybe we need to read. But what I will not do, I will not try to convince people or even argue with people who refuse to read, because everything I just said, outside of my own examples I just gave, everything I said is in all the linguistic textbooks. I can even name them for you. A good author, a good person to get is Lyle Campbell. He's a professor, forget what college, but he's a professor in linguistics and this, that, and the third. And he's written many, many books himself and co-authored on the comparative method and things like that. And there's a lot of authors out there, a lot of linguists out there that teach on or explain the difference between the multilateral method and the historical comparative method, what it is, and this, that, and the third. Regular sound meaning correspondences on all aspects of the language. Systematic. You can't even pick a word and do that. You have to systematically go through the language, and they usually start with the core vocabulary of body parts, numbers, body parts, things like that, and then expand out. So anyway, but it's coming to my time, y'all. I am. So hopefully you all understood that. So at least let me know that. At least let me know that before I go. Let me know you all understood what I just said. All right. At least let me know that. And shout out to everybody. Like I said, I'm just hanging out. And, coming to the end of the time, but I'm hanging out. Hopefully helping y'all digest y'all food. Most of y'all probably put on 10 pounds today. It's almost like I'm talking as if today was like Thanksgiving or something. But this whole Memorial Day weekend, I know everybody's gonna be eating good. People gonna have some fun. Make sure you stay safe out there. We got monkeypox creeping up on us. And things still got COVID going on. But make sure you enjoy yourself. Make sure you get some fresh air, get that sun, get that vitamin D. And Memorial weekend and stuff is when the swimming pools open up and people go to amusement parks and stuff like that. So make sure you all stay safe out there. But let me make sure that you all understood what I just said. That's important. I just want to make sure y'all understand what I said. So, people that keep bringing up Greenberg and the Afroasiatic stuff and everything, it's unfortunate that they don't read up on this stuff, because many times I've answered questions, but the person asking me the question don't even realize I've answered it because they can't recognize it. They can't recognize the answers given, so and that's just unfortunate. I mean, we'll read it in black and white. It will literally say that the mass comparison method is rejected by most linguists to determine genetic relationships of languages. And for life, man, I don't see how people can't comprehend that. Like what, like how else can you put it? How else can you put it? Oh, Nomadic says Kemet is Afro-Asiatic. Got it. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. I mean, if you mean Egyptian as a language, is Afro-Asiatic. Yeah, according to Greenberg's classification system, ancient or Egyptian is under the Afro-Asiatic super language phyla. Yep. But that language phyla to begin with was not put together based on genetic relationships of these languages. And see, I think that's the hardest part that's confusing people. You have to understand, like, you can't reference a thing that was not created for the thing you think you're referencing it for. You can't do that. Just understand that it was never created as a representation of genetic relationships of languages. That's not what it is. It was never that. It was never that. So when somebody comes along and actually looks at the DNA of languages and compares them and says, well, hey, this language is genetically related to this language over here, that's a totally different thing. Now, on a typological level, which is Greenberg's classification, it seems strange because you can show the relationship between Yoruba and ancient Egyptian, for example. But according to Greenberg, Yoruba and ancient Egyptian are part of two separate superphylas, Niger-Congo and Afro-Asiatic. But yet on the genetic analysis of these languages, Yoruba is related to ancient Egyptian. So now you can paint a different classification system based on genetics of the languages, not the typological level. That's the problem people are having. They're like, no, it's not. Egyptian is not related to Yoruba because Yoruba is a Niger-Congo language and Egyptian is Afro-Asiatic. You see how the problem happens? So a person that says that and would say that it's pure ignorance. It's just pure, not knowing. And that's our job. Our job is to try to explain it to people, which I don't mind doing. But what I will not do is try to explain it to people who refuse to read. Like if I give some recommended reading to elaborate and stuff like that, and people say flat out like, no, I'm not going to do that. You got to show me this person on Wikipedia first and stuff like that. Nah, I just can't. I can't be bothered. They're not serious. I can't take people like that serious. I'm not going to waste my time on that. I'm not being paid. Nah. I don't get paid to just hold people's hands like that. Nah. That's not going to happen. Anyway, so that's been my time, y'all. Hey, hopefully I answer some questions. I appreciate y'all tuning in because, like I said, it's the Memorial Day weekend. And I know you all are having fun. Just continue to be safe out there. And don't eat too much and all that good stuff. Somebody tell Sean, man, he got to cut back on those cheeseburgers. He's a double cheeseburger away. Man, I saw a picture. I'm like, boy, that's Sean I first met. But I can't talk. Like, I could talk now because I had put on some weight myself. I can talk now because I'm back in my range. I'm back where I need to be. And I was never oversized or anything like that. So now I can talk. Now I'm talking trash. Yeah, Sean. So cut back on those cheeseburgers. So anyway, but hopefully y'all have fun. Hopefully I was able to answer some questions and y'all hang out with me next time. Now, so let me do my closing reminders. So let me put this on the screen real big again. Make sure y'all step over to saberuniversity.com on the homepage, enroll in our book club. Okay, we're going to fire it up ASAP, really. All I'm waiting for, we have 17 people, I think maybe 20 people now signed up. This is the first book we're going to deal with. It's called Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. Okay, Now you don't have to be a part of the book club to obviously read the book. You get that book on your own. It's available on Amazon. So if you want to read it on your own, hey, that's cool. More power to you. I read it. I read it already, and I wasn't a part of a book club to read it. So hey, but book club has many advantages and benefits. All right, so we're gonna read this together, walk through it. Have discussions about it, and walk through it. So make sure you go. It's free. Join the book club. This is our first book we're going to do, but we're going to go through a lot of different books, some really good books on various different topics. Okay, some good quality stuff that we can get through. But this is the first one, so make sure y'all go over there and register and sign up. It's free. All you need is an email and your name. Register to the website. And Sabre University, we are coming out next month with our mobile app. Okay, so we're going to have our own mobile app, native mobile app, download to the Android and iPhone, and you'll be able to access Sabre University, your courses, your quizzes, everything, and the community. Just like Facebook, you'll be surprised. It's gonna function just like Facebook. We have groups. You have the main feed, then you have your groups and all this other kind of stuff. So we're gonna be launching that next month. Not too long from now. June is right around the corner. Okay, so we're going to be launching that. So you want to be a part of it. Don't miss out. Because we're creating an environment where we can have fun, but we can learn. The main focus is growing, learning, sharing, learning, growing. Gaining proficiency and competency in these different subject matters and things like that. So Sabre University is not Egyptocentric. Right now, it appears to be, if you go to the website, it appears to be because only me, myself, and Emiket have done work on the site in terms of quizzes and lessons and stuff like that. So it seems to be Egyptocentric, but no, we want to be able to build out different lessons and quizzes on multiple areas of things that we feel that our community needs to know. Okay. And no, it's not Yale. It's not Harvard. We never claimed for it to be any of those things or whatever case. Don't let anybody straw man you to death with stuff like that. What we advocate is to build a learning environment where we can have fun and learning minus the drama, minus all the shenanigans, minus all the other stuff that I've been complaining about for years. Since 2013? Would that make us 9 years? For 9 years, I've been very critical about the so-called conscious community and the shenanigans that we observe. And everybody observes it. But some people pretend that it doesn't exist and that it's not a problem. But I just don't do that. So, and plus this just gives an option, because I don't, people do what they want to do. I don't control other people's platforms. And I don't try to dictate and tell people not to support or watch other platforms. What I will do instead is I will put another glass of water next to the existing glass of water and then provide another option. That's it. And so this is another option. So people can do both. People can be entertained. People can fuss and fight and do whatever. But then they have a choice. They can come over in this environment and get down how we get down. And that's it. That's it. That's the sweet spot. That's the compromise, and I think that's fair for people. People could do what they want to do. They could do both. They could do one. They could choose whatever, and that's it. So anyway, with that, I'm going to say Shimim Hotep, and like I said, I hope y'all have enjoy yourself and stay safe out there. All right. So until next time, Shimim Hotep. Peace.
To say that when you go to Kemet school, you became more alert. You more wake up. Your spirit wake up, and you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. study what we call classical studies. We must know Netcher. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some arithmetic too. We need to know Netcher. So the most achievement in Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.